My name is Eveline, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Tenomix, a small medtech startup that myself and 3 others founded in July 2021. I'm also currently the Interim Director of the Medical Innovation Fellowship Program at Western University. And my background is in medicine. I have a medical degree from the Netherlands, and where I'm originally from, and also have a PhD from UBC in kinesiology neuroscience. The first time I learned about SCWIST was a few years ago when I came across an advertisement for the Wonder Woman networking event. And it was at the time that I was a PhD student at UBC and was really trying to figure out where to go next in my career. So it looked like a good opportunity for me to connect with other women in STEM and learn a little bit about sort of the career path that they had taken. So I'm really glad that I ended up attending that event, as I met some amazing women with successful careers in STEM. And what I really took away from that event was, being able to learn more about sort of the day-to-day activities that these women did in their roles. Ask them about sort of the skills that they felt were very important to be successful in the roles that they had, but also being able to ask them a little bit about maybe aspects of their job that I didn't like so much, or that they didn't enjoy, and maybe aspects that they weren't aware of were part of their role. So it gave me a more realistic sort of outlook on some of the career opportunities that I had in front of me, and sort of what that may look like if I was actually working in a role like that day to day. So it really helped me sort of work through my own figuring out sort of what the career path may be for me, and I really enjoyed it. So after the Wonder Woman event, I became a SCWIST member and started attending other events that SCWIST was organizing, and this ranged from pub nights where I had a chance to network and meet other women in STEM, to some of the professional development workshops that SCWIST was offering. And so, for instance, the workshops that I attended ranged from media interview skills to workshop negotiations, to how to write an op-ed, to conflict resolution, really sort of professional development workshops that went beyond the more common how to write your resume and how to prepare for an interview. And I feel like it really gave me an opportunity to sort of grow professionally and sort of get more familiar with, how to talk about my work and how to talk about my research, and become more confident in doing that at the same time. So after having been a member for a while and attending these workshops, I also wanted to become more involved with SCWIST as a volunteer. And as I was a PhD student at UBC at the time, I took on a leading role in reinstating the lunchtime brown bag series at UBC. And really the brown bag series was an opportunity for SCWIST to invite SCWIST and non-SCWIST members of the UBC community to take a break in their workday, have lunch, network, and also learn about different research and initiatives going on at UBC campus. So for instance, some of the brown bag seminars that we organized were on science communication, research going on in several different departments, my text talking about opportunities for current grad students to get involved more in industry. And it was quite a successful series. And after I left Vancouver to move to London, the series was actually continued by other volunteers that were at SCWIST in Vancouver, and it became a very successful and well-attended event series. So currently I live in London, Ontario, and continue to be engaged with SCWIST, and one of my roles is as a co-lead for SCWIST-Ontario. And in line with the vision for SCWIST at SCWIST-Ontario, we also want to sort of create a community and an opportunity for girls and women in STEM to be educated, work in a STEM field, and sort of find their place. So what we're hoping to do in SCWIST-Ontario is build community and corporate partnerships within Ontario, as well as organize events local in Ontario and network and mentoring opportunities for SCWIST and non-SCWIST members that are in Ontario. And we, in my role as sort of a co-lead, what I do is I support the volunteers that we have, working on several aspects of, organizing events or building the corporate and community partnerships, and really supporting them, these volunteers in sort of their needs, but also acting as a liaison between SCWIST Ontario and SCWIST National to make sure, that we're all aligned with sort of the goals that we're going after. And in addition, I am also supporting my co-lead Christine into setting sort of the short-term and long-term strategic planning for SCWIST Ontario and, achieving the goals that I just mentioned. So sort of the community building, the partnership building, the networking and mentoring opportunities, as well as building our membership and volunteer base. After having moved from Vancouver to Ontario, I also joined the Policy and Impact Committee at SCWIST. And this was a way for me to stay connected sort of to the SCWIST Vancouver community, as most of the work for this committee was done remotely. And it was also an opportunity for me to get more familiar with policies related to gender equality, as well as how SCWIST may be able to advocate for policy change. So one of the projects that I worked on for the Policy and Impact Committee was to research the current policies on gender equality in Canada, as well as other countries in the world. And these included countries where they're actually further ahead than Canada in this regard, such as Iceland and New Zealand. And what the objective was of this research is sort of identify gender policy in these types of countries that are successful, and paving sort of or informing a strategy for SCWIST to follow to advocate for certain policy changes related to gender equality in Canada. I am a co-founder and the chief operating officer of Tenomix, a small medtech company that I founded with 3 others in July 2021. And at Tenomix, our mission is to develop novel technologies that target inefficiencies in the pathology workflow, optimize cancer care, and reduce healthcare cost. And we're currently working on a benchtop robotic scanning device, which autonomously searches or locates lymph nodes in surgically removed colon cancer tissues, and marks their locations for pathology staff to easily find and extract. And this device really replaces the existing very tedious and manual search process for these lymph nodes in the surgically removed tissue. And it improves the speed and the reliability of the cancer staging process, which enables clinicians and patients to make better informed treatment decisions. And my day-to-day work as or for Tenomix is actually very varied. And this really results from that I'm involved in all aspects of running the company. So for instance, my day-to-day tasks can include talking to pathology staff to learn more about their work and their workflow, talking to potential investors or representatives from government funding agencies, as well as meeting with mentors that are helping me and my co-founder sort of through the journey of entrepreneurship and starting a new medical device company, as well as doing research on what the regulatory path for our device may look like, doing experiments, so bringing our prototype device into the lab, scanning tissues and analyzing the data. And I'm also involved in setting the goals and objectives for the company, so both in the short and the long term, and also taking on a project management role. So for instance, I regularly check in with the interns and the contractors we have working for us on specific projects for the company. So really no day looks the same, and there is a lot of sort of new tasks that you know, I'm having to do that I may not be familiar with or haven't done before. But it's really helped to have a good supporting system of mentors and others in a network that you can just reach out and say, hey, you know, I have to figure out the regulatory pathway for our device, but I'm not sure how, you know, where to start. And then there's, you know, people who can help with that. And I think that's really what I'm enjoying most sort of about doing this work, is just being able to learn so many new things on a day-to-day basis, and having the opportunity to interact with so many amazing people within London, within Southwestern Ontario and Canada as a whole, to sort of help me through this journey. So I'm currently the interim director of the Medical Innovation Fellowship Program at Western University, after I was actually a fellow myself last year. So after I finished my PhD in Vancouver, I was looking to sort of you know, figure out what to do next. And I came across an opportunity to join the Medical Innovation Fellowship at Western University, and it sounded like a good opportunity for me to explore medical device development, as well as you know, medical innovation in general and entrepreneurship. So the Medical Innovation Fellowship is a 10.5-month program where there's a team of very bright individuals with different backgrounds, ranging from backgrounds in engineering to life science and biotech research and healthcare professionals. So it could range from medical doctors or nurses, physiotherapists, occupational therapists. And as a team, you work together to identify unmet clinical needs and try to create a novel solution to address those needs. So the program is set up in several stages. So first, there's a 3-week boot camp where the fellows sort of get familiar with all different aspects of medical device development. So it could range from how to identify unmet clinical needs, to how to brainstorm ideas and how to select the best you know, concept for a potential solution, to you know, regulatory pathways, including, you know, learning about Health Canada and FDA, as well as learning about commercialization pathways. So how to, you know, figure out your business model for selling the device that you're building, as well as how to find funding. So for instance, different government funding agencies, investment opportunities, both angel investors and venture capital. So sort of learning about all aspects of that. After that, there's about a 2 to 3 month period of clinical immersion where the fellows engage with clinicians in and around London, talk to them, observe them. So observe maybe clinical interactions, observe surgeries, observe other you know, things that go on in the clinic, and really try to understand some of the pain points or challenges that these clinicians are encountering during their daily practice. So what happens is the fellows then have sort of a list of all these unmet clinical needs, and based on their interests, but also their skill set and the resources that they have available to them, they'll make a short list of you know, clinical needs that they feel that they can address and work on during the rest of the fellowship. And then after they start digging deeper into market research, trying to understand the market opportunity, trying to understand the competitive landscape, trying to understand you know, what a regulatory pathway might look like, and obviously start building or ideating prototypes. And getting early feedback from end users and other stakeholders that are involved. So going back to the original clinician that gave them the need and showing them sort of the solution that they came up with, and asking, you know, is this, does it fit within your workflow? Is this, you know, solving the problem that you originally had mentioned? And at the end of the program, what we really hope to get out of it is having created a novel medical invention, getting or applying or filing for intellectual property protection for that. And also, if some of the fellows are interested, getting a startup going and continuing to work and develop the technology that they were working on in the fellowship. And that is something obviously that sort of happened to me. So the project that we're working on with Tenomix is a project that we'd started in the Medical Innovation Fellowship Program. And me and 3 of the other fellows had decided to start the company right after we'd finished the Innovation Fellowship in June. And are now all still working on Tenomix and developing the technology further. When I first came to Vancouver, I actually learned how to sail and how to ski. I didn't know how to. I'm from the Netherlands, so we don't really have mountains. We do have a lot of water, but surprisingly, I actually didn't know how to sail. So I really enjoyed both those activities, and I haven't actually been able to practice them a lot over the last 2 years, but I really hope to be able to get back to that in the future. As well as I really enjoy playing field hockey. It's one of the sports that I always played when I was living back in the Netherlands, and actually also when I was living in Vancouver. And it's just something that really helps me sort of take my mind away from school and work, which I think is very important, to sometimes just be able to, have fun and just not think about, all the responsibilities that you might have. And something that I still really enjoy doing. The advice that I would like to give to girls and women in STEM is to be brave and to try new things. So all the good things in my life, I can always sort of trace back to some of the risks or, scary things that I've done. So for instance, immigrating to Canada from the Netherlands, or taking up skiing and sailing later in life with, having no experience with either, as well as moving from Vancouver to London, and obviously jumping into entrepreneurship. So I feel that, for most of these choices, sometimes I was a little nervous, not entirely sure where it would lead me, and not entirely sure at times if it was the right decision to make. But I think in hindsight, it always really worked out for the better. And that it really helped me grow as a person, but also professionally. And I can honestly say that I don't have any regret sort of taking these types of risks. And I feel that it's important to sometimes go outside of your comfort zone and try new things and just see where it takes you.